Well, someone asked me if I was going to do a pun at the beginning of my Nope video, like I always do, so I said, yep. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a newer release, Nope. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, or if you were planning on seeing it. And make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my content out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more movie-related content like horror reviews on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Nope. This sees the residents of a lonely gulch in inland California bear witness to an uncanny and chilling discovery. Jordan Peele's back in his third feature film behind the camera after Get Out, which I absolutely loved, and Us, which I liked, though not quite on that same level as his first film, which admittedly might have been my only hesitation when it came to this. I was looking forward to this film for sure, but I was very slightly worried this might have been something more in the vein of Us rather than Get Out. I know there are those who really enjoy Us, I'm just not on that same level, but that's a story for another day. But with this, it really isn't like either movie, but in a totally good way actually. And I'm happy to say that my love of this movie is considerably closer to that of Get Out. And this once again proves why Jordan Peele is easily one of the best and most interesting filmmakers out there. Now, this is classified as a horror movie, and it definitely contains a lot of horror elements. We kick things off with this really chilling opening sequence with a chimpanzee covered in blood wreaking havoc on an empty TV set. We don't know what's going on, but it's really tense right out of the gate. We don't have any context for this moment, and it almost reminded me a bit of how Us opened things up with this one long shot of rabbits over a chilling score during its opening credit scene. Similar vibe here. And I don't really consider this a spoiler so much, which some people do for some reason, but one of the major plot elements does involve aliens. I won't go too much further into that, but the way aliens are incorporated into the story, it truly does feel reminiscent of a horror movie in some instances. But I wouldn't say this is necessarily the scariest film out there, nor are the horror elements exactly the most prevailing feel of the film. It feels like something more akin to a sci-fi thriller, one that was definitely creepy, though I'd say it had the vibe of Steven Spielberg's older films, with Peele even citing Jurassic Park and Close Encounters of the Third Kind as some of his biggest influences here, along with non-Spielberg films like King Kong, Signs, and even The Wizard of Oz. This is the Jordan Peele film that feels most like a spectacle. A lot of the posters used for this, and we even see this in the trailers, involve seeing characters looking up at the sky at this mysterious otherworldly being, whose origins and motivations and species they're not quite sure of. And Peele looks to capture that sense of wonder and awe at seeing something that we thought was impossible, which is especially similar to something like Jurassic Park. But it's not all spectacle, and it's definitely one of the furthest things away from style over substance. This is also a very thematically rich film, specifically in the way it explores things like exploitation and trauma. I won't give away too many specifics due to spoilers, but we'll see characters, many of whom we'll grow to really like quickly, go through something horrible. For some, we see it actually happen, while others it might just be explained. And it creates this real, tragic backstory for them, but for some characters, they'll then use that trauma as a means for their own personal gain, and it's in a way where you question the ethics of what they're doing. Like, there's one character who has this one particular setup where they charge people money to see something that relates to a horrible event in their life. And they don't even give it a second thought that they do this, as they casually mention it to someone. Now, it's never played in a way where the film explicitly tells you you should now hate certain characters or we should overlook those flaws, but it does walk a nice fine line of making everyone charismatic enough so that you enjoy them, but it also doesn't shy away from their flaws so that you don't necessarily agree with every decision they make. And it adds a lot of nuance to the story, especially in the way it explores how trauma can lead to this endless cycle that can feel a little cynical. Though I wouldn't say this is an inherently cynical film, and it's overall not the general tone of the film. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I think the film also finds a nice balance of telling a very entertaining and thrilling summer blockbuster that can also be clever, and it has something meaningful to say, similar to what Peele accomplished with Get Out, even though that's not a summer blockbuster, but still an entertaining genre film with broad appeal that also had a lot of great social commentary. But while this explores some tragic themes, I found myself smiling at this more than feeling down or anything else. Now, some of the more thematic elements here, there are a few things left open a bit to interpretation, or should I say, it's not that the scenes themselves are ambiguous, but their inclusion in the story and the amount of time we dedicate to them might not be the clearest, and it might make the movie feel a little longer than it should have. But it's also one of those things where it lends itself to go back and rewatch it so that you can connect everything, though it's all pretty clear for the most part. And this, once again, is also a pretty funny film. Even though Jordan Peele is becoming even more associated with being a horror director, and he is easily one of the most interesting horror directors currently out there, this still doesn't shy away from his comedic roots. This is a pretty consistently funny movie, whether it be due to a one-liner thrown in there, or there might be a setup so ridiculous that you can't do anything else but laugh, or there's an odd character trait played for laughs, but it's never done in such a way where it takes away from the dramatic tension. I think Peele finds organic ways to include all the humor so that it doesn't feel forced, which will make those laughs hit a little harder. Plus, the cast is all great here. Daniel Kaluuya is once again a lead for Peele after Get Out, and here he plays someone who kind of keeps things close to the chest. He's not exactly the most social person out there, especially as we see he's still recovering from a tragedy, though he's not so closed off that he's totally void of a personality, striking a nice balance that made him a great protagonist. Steven Yeun is also a blast as this former child actor and owner of this carnival that does business with our other protagonists, while Brandon Perea, who's not as heavily advertised as the rest of the characters, was also a blast as this tech salesman who winds up playing a much bigger role than I thought he would. Though Keke Palmer is easily the big standout of everyone here. She has such a great fiery energy as Kaluuya's sister, who works with him but has very different motivations and goals, which generally puts them at odds. Though never to the point that they're at each other's throats, but it does give us a great dynamic that especially plays nicely into that overall sense of humor. And at the same time, she's not just this joke character. She's very endearing, and when she goes to do something, she's all in, giving 110%, with her energy just being so infectious. And you even see in Palmer's performance, she gives it 110% herself in the way she just lights up the room and the way she'd steal the scene every time we saw her. She was easily my favorite performance here and my favorite character. And lastly, I also loved how this film was not just an ode to a lot of older blockbusters, but also to the art of filmmaking itself. It's definitely a very pristine looking film, and it's gorgeously shot. Like, with a lot of the film's story involving characters looking up at the sky and out far distances, we get a lot of gorgeous wide shots with some beautiful looking landscapes that were just a real visual treat. But this is also a film that explores some of the inner workings of both the film and TV world. Like I said, you have Steven Yeun as a former child star, and part of his background plays a part in the film. Plus, you have Kaluuya and Palmer as horse trainers who are in a family-owned business that uses horses for film and TV shoots. And they discuss how those involved in some monumental moments in film and TV history don't get the recognition they deserve, which is definitely worth noting, considering how, even though we typically just hone in on a specific director or an actor, the filmmaking process is a very collaborative one with a lot of moving parts that we sometimes don't put much thought into, but they're all very important. We get a lot of conversations that relate back to being a crew member on a film or TV crew throughout this. Some of these come in the form of subtle moments, while others will have a huge impact on the story, but either way, those odes to crew members is a major trait of the film, and I thought Peele found a nice way to pay tribute to those who didn't get quite as much recognition on film shoots, while still tying in rich themes and an engaging story. Nope is another win for Jordan Peele, and it cements even further how he's one of the best filmmakers currently out there. With odes to the films that inspired him, as well as the filmmaking process, this finds a nice balance of blockbuster spectacle and entertainment, along with exploring rich themes. Sometimes the exploration of said themes might not completely come together for some, and I do think there will be different perspectives and interpretations regarding the inclusion of certain moments, but for the most part, this is a very funny, gorgeously shot, extremely thrilling summer blockbuster, and it's one you don't want to miss. Nope gets an 8.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Nope, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Is this your favorite Jordan Peele movie? Is it your favorite Daniel Kaluuya movie? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it. And for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep having fun with film.